Hi, my name is Holly Mason. I am a clinical psychologist, and today I am going to take you through a lecture surrounding the topic of sleep. Okay, so a basic overview of today's presentation. Firstly, we will define sleep. We'll look at what sleep is and what it actually means. We'll then discuss the biology of sleep, so what happens to the physical body and the cognitive brain whilst we are asleep, which will highlight and define the importance of sleep. We'll then go on to discuss the health concerns and impairments linked to sleep deprivation and the commonalities that arise when we are sleep deprived. We'll then look at the recommended sleep time and ways to improve sleep habits in order to get this recommended sleep time each night. We'll then finish the presentation looking at a study linking sleep behaviour and athletic performance. And this will allow us to review and understand why it's so important to get the right amount of sleep in order to perform optimally whilst we are training. Although we all do sleep, either day or night, it's very rare that we think or look at what sleep actually is or what it means. So to define sleep, I would say, in short, sleep is a sedentary state of mind and body. And this is characterised by altered consciousness, inhibited sensory activity, reduced muscle activity, and a significant reduction in overall interaction with environmental surroundings. So whilst we are asleep, of course, we are in an unconscious state of mind. Our inhibited sensory activity means that our senses are deactivated. Our muscles are completely relaxed, which is allowing our body to rest. And, of course, interaction with environmental surroundings is minimal, unless we do wake up from our sedentary state. As explained in this slide, there are a vast variety of biological processes and brain functions that take place whilst we sleep. So when we say the biology of sleep, we are now looking at what happens to the brain and what happens to the physical body when we are in a sedentary state. So the brain functional processes that happen when we sleep include storing new information. So throughout the day, we will pick up or collect information, both consciously and subconsciously. And whilst we sleep, this information is stored. Our brain erases toxic waste, gets rid of anything that it doesn't need in order for our function to be optimal the next day. Nerve cell communication takes place, so our brain communicates with all of our nerves throughout the body, which not only allows the brain to function at a higher rate throughout the next day, it also allows us to move and be more mobile. And finally, the brain functional process of promotion of general functional health. So our brain is able to work in a healthier way. When we look at the physical processes, one of the main physical processes whilst we sleep is a reparation of cells throughout the body. So especially for athletes or people who are training, cells that are in need of nourishment or general repair. This is crucial whilst we sleep. Nerve cell communication and reorganisation again. So nerve cells working with the brain and the brain working with the nerve cells. A restoration of critical energy. So the body relaxes and restores energy for the next day. This allows us to wake up and feel refreshed, rejuvenated. And molecules such as hormones and proteins are released into the blood throughout the body, allowing our body to be repaired and allowing not only our physical but our mental state to be a lot more calmer. Okay, so now we're aware of the importance of sleep and the biological functions that occur whilst we are asleep. It's important to now look at the adverse, so impairments and health outcomes that are associated with sleep deprivation. So firstly, sleep deprivation can be described as an inadequate quantity or quality of sleep. So not getting the right amount of hours of sleep, or not sleeping frequently enough for our body to carry out the biological functions that it requires. So some of the common symptoms or ailments that are associated with lack of sleep include hypertension, an increased risk of stroke, impaired immune function, increased pain. So increased pain, I just think it's important to highlight this. That means that our pain threshold decreases. So this can have a negative impact on training, especially. We can also gain weight or increase our chance of obesity with sleep deprivation, impaired performance, impaired reaction time, which then exacerbates the chance of accidents, so we become more accident prone, poor memory due to a lack of information storage, which we've just noticed in the slide earlier, which occurs whilst we are asleep, and a higher chance of mental unease, so finding ourselves worried, anxious, or unable to cope with situations or information throughout the day. Okay, so recommended sleep time. I just want to add in a bit of data here. So over the past 2 decades, the average sleep time has in fact dropped, and this has decreased from just over 8 hours to just over 6.5. So that's about a 20% decrease in sleep time. Now, data does suggest that it's important to get a minimum of 7.8 hours of sleep each night. However, the National Sleep Guidelines and other sleep professionals do advise between 7 to 9 every night, and that's for adults. Now, adolescents are different, and due to the body still growing, they are advised for 8 to 10. But it is important to look at these guidelines in terms of each night for adults. Again, just to make sure that those biological functions and those cognitive functions that are occurring during sleep are able to take place. So when we look at ways to improve sleep habits and overall prevent sleep deprivation or chronic sleep loss, it's important to have various things that I'd say are simple. So not over complicating things. So a minimum use of blue light, which includes not looking at your phone or your telly before you go to sleep. Decreasing your room temperature. Now, what many people don't realise is that in order to fall into a deep sleep, the body temperature must drop by 1%. And this is why in the summertime, when it's hot outside, many people struggle to sleep. So making sure that the temperature of your room is at the correct temperature. Consistency. So having a bedtime routine and staying consistent with that bedtime routine. So not allowing yourself to stay up those extra half hour or that extra hour to watch another episode of a programme that you're watching, but instead being consistent with your habits and your routine. And again, as mentioned earlier, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it overwhelming. Make it something realistic, something that you can stick to, and something that will allow you to get the most out of your sleep. In terms of sleep research, there are various different studies that have been conducted and reported online that do highlight the importance of sleep. However, here I have selected a study relative to training. In this study, the researchers analysed the statistical relationship between time spent asleep per night, sleep behaviours, and athletic performance. In this study, Sports Medicine Reports analysed the sleep behaviour of 103 athletes, and they then linked this sleep behaviour to athletic performance. And what they found was that, along with being an integral part of the recovery and adaptive process, increased sleep duration and improved sleep quality in the athletes was in fact associated with improved performance and competitive success. Now, additionally, they also found that a reduction of injury and illness arose, which shown that improved sleep optimised health, and optimised health then further enhanced performance through the prevention of losing time to training. So this allowed athletes to not only prevent getting ill, but also prevented them missing sessions, which allowed them to further learn, get better, and perform at an optimal rate. So they've listed some of the findings which I have explained in the slide, and these are listed: improved performance, enhanced competitiveness, increased training time, lack of unattended training sessions, reduction of injury, and lack of illness. And I have also provided the link for anybody who would like to go on to read the report. Thank you.